Okay, so welcome, Russ, to another great teaching aid that you supply us with. And today, Russ, I want to talk about, and man, I hope you know your stuff, about condimental tobaccos. Can we say that?
Condimental tobaccos, yeah.
Yeah. So what I want to ask you, the first question is, what are the different types? Also, can any tobacco be used as a condiment? So let's go. What are the different types of condimental tobaccos?
Okay. Ketchup, mustard, mayo, balsamic vinegar. I mean,
I'm sure.
they're all condiments.
I'm sure you could use them, man. I'm sure of it.
Yeah. No, the primary condimental tobaccos are Latakia,
Okay.
Perique, and dark fired.
Now, when you say dark fired, what are you talking about?
Dark fired Kentucky.
What kind of leaf is that?
It's an offshoot of burley, and it's cured over fire like Latakia is. It's high in nicotine, it's peppery and smoky.
Oh, okay.
But the smokiness is different than Latakia because Latakia, they use a lot of coniferous woods to smoke the tobacco. And that's why you get that kind of piney campfire taste.
Okay.
Dark fired Kentucky is cured over hardwoods, and in the U.S., the primary hardwoods would be like oak and hickory, which have a very distinctive flavor.
I would think oak is not very perfumey.
But it delivers a smokiness.
And
So
going back to the Latakia, if the Latakia was not smoked with coniferous woods,
mhm,
would it alter the flavor?
of course. I mean, the primary flavor you're getting from Latakia is from the wood smoke.
And so when you say pine, me, I'm thinking Canadian pine, the very sappy, piney smell thing. I don't get that in the Latakia.
No, the wood, they'll use juniper, and they'll use yew,
It's
and
it's okay.
they'll use juniper and yew and woods like that. They're in the family of pine, but they're not pine.
I didn't know juniper was in the family. I didn't know juniper was a coniferous type offshoot from.
Well, to be honest with you, I'm not positive about that, but I do know they use juniper.
And like the juniper berries that we use
Yeah.
for cooking.
Yep.
That's the okay. So
Well, you may
Latakia,
use them. You may use it for cooking. I use them for gin.
I figured you were gonna say that.
Yeah.
Okay. How many juniper berries do you use when you make your bathtub full of gin?
Well, yeah, I got to buy quarts of it. To
Yeah,
it's a good size. It's a good size bathtub.
and it's okay. And is that the only bathtub you have in the house, or is it specifically made for gin?
We've got a shower besides.
Okay, I see. I got you. Okay,
All right.
so me buying, I bought McBaron's Latakia Flake.
Yeah.
Now, how much Latakia is in there? Calling it a condiment, I would think
It-
if it's a Latakia Flake, I'm getting the whole shebang.
I'm guessing based on having smoked it that it's probably in the 20 to 30% range. Not very
And
heavy.
now is that as heavy as some English blends like Peterson's nightcap?
Nightcap's a little on the heavier side in terms of Latakia content. Typically, you'll see anywhere from maybe 5% all the way up to 50% or even more. But
Fifty percent.
I think once you get to the 40% range, after that, it's just gilding the lily. You really won't notice the extra amount that's put in there.
Oh, really? It's not like it's going to be what they call like a lac bomb.
It'll just the after 40%, the influence of the Latakia is so strong. It doesn't matter what else you're working with
Oh.
because it's just too assertive a flavor.
Now you have a tobacco that I keep forgetting the name of, and it's not a Hearth and Home one. It's the we talked about it last time. It's very smoky, very campfirey.
Bengal slices.
Yeah. Now, how much Latakia would be in there?
That's in the 30% range.
Okay. So is that when you were blending that, Russ? Was that your main component to give it that smoky campfire taste, or was there other condiments in there?
Well, it's the particular flavor you get there is because the Latakia is amplified by the Orientals that are in the blend.
Okay, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that because I forgot a question I was going to ask you. Now, okay, so I actually have it written down, and I forgot I was going to ask you the question. So this is what you're dealing with. Can you go on to the next lower level of a condiment tobacco?
Okay. So beside the three that I've already mentioned,
Which were
the Latakia,
Kentucky,
Dark Fired, and Perique.
Okay.
And let's define what I understand to be condimental tobaccos. Condimental tobaccos are tobaccos that you don't need to use a large amount of for it to have a significant impact on the flavor. So that's what I would mean by a condimental tobacco.
Like you said jokingly before, ketchup, mustard, chow chow, whatever.
Yes. When we're talking about the next level, you could include some of the Orientals and Turkish tobaccos. Some of them are a bit more assertive, flavor-wise. And then you're talking about different forms of the other tobaccos. For example, Virginia Red or Bright really isn't a condimental tobacco. That's a base tobacco. But if you turn it into a Black Cavendish, like the Brits do, okay, over there, they make their Black Cavendish out of Virginia because there's so much sugar in there, they don't need to add sugar to get it to blacken.
Okay.
So that would be a condimental tobacco because as it's toasted, the flavor becomes more intense. The sugars caramelize. So you don't need a lot of what we call in the U.S. stoved Black Virginia to have an impact on the flavor of a blend.
So stoved Black Virginia is not Cavendished.
It's the same thing as the British Black Cavendish, just a different name.
Wow, but
The
U.S.
U.S.
You don't like the British word Cavendish? You guys got to make up your own word.
Well, that's because in the U.S., Black Cavendish is made from burley.
And theirs is made from Virginia.
Yes.
Yes,
in the U.S., they treat the burley with sugar water, and then they toast it, and so it's more of a brown sugar flavor. And then in most cases, they take that toasted tobacco and they steam it for 24 hours. And oftentimes they add flavorings when they steam it.
Okay, so obviously the English Cavendish Virginia, the Black Cavendish, and the American Black Cavendish, I'm gonna say, are totally different in taste.
Yeah, they are.
Okay, so that's why the different process. Because why go through all of that and just do it the English way? You know what I'm saying?
The English version, I would say it's probably a 50-50 mix of whether they flavor it or not. Sometimes they just use it as a form of Virginia. But then they'll sometimes steam it and flavor it too. Um, in the US, I would say 90% of it or more is steamed and flavored.
Okay. Russ, I don't want to get ahead here.
Yep.
Going back to the Orientals, can you give me some Oriental leaves like Catarini or mother-in-law leaf type thing?
Probably one of the more assertive ones that I would consider condimental would be Smyrna.
Smyrna, okay.
It's kind of hard to describe. It's kind of buttery, and it's a little funky. You know,
Funky like
it's
how blue cheese funky?
yeah, not quite, but in that same vein. And you don't need a lot of that to make an impact on the blend.
I see.
And then on the other tobacco that I would mention in the next tier would be dark air cured or dark burley.
Okay.
All right, the dark burley and dark air cured, they're pretty much like cigar leaf.
Okay.
So it's going to be earthy, maybe a little spicy depending on where it's grown and the strain. But that's a good addition for a couple of reasons. If you want to add some spice and a bit of an earthy note, then that's what you want to use. But it has another property. Burleys are high in oil. And when they're fermented heavily, which is how they become dark burley, they give off an awful lot of smoke. So if you've got a blend that doesn't deliver much smoke, if you add some dark burley to it, now you're going to up the volume of smoke. And that's important for a lot of people because newer pipe smokers are looking for that big cloud. And some of them make a terrible mistake. Beside looking for that big cloud of smoke, because they're new to it, they don't know what to try, so they grab some Virginia blends.
And they puff like crazy.
Exactly, to try to develop that cloud of smoke. And when you do that with Virginias, you know what happens. You fry your tongue.
You fry it.
So
now, is this clouds and smoke? Meaning, is this a magician's trick to put that burley in so the novice gets that cigar type smoke?
No, I wouldn't call it a trick. It's a conscious decision. I have a blend in the Hearth and Home Signature series called Virginia Spice, and I tell people it's a Virginia Perique blend, and I kind of tell people that it's an introductory type Virginia Perique blend, but I intentionally put some cigar leaf in there. And it's just for that purpose. Because if they're getting enough smoke out of the blend because of the addition of that cigar leaf, they're not going to be as interested in puffing fast, puffing hard.
I see what you're saying. But what about the flavor profile of something like that, adding cigar leaf in it to pump up the smoke?
Well, when you're talking about a Virginia Perique blend, if there's enough Perique in it, you're probably not even going to notice the small amount of cigar leaf that's in there. It doesn't change the flavor profile that significantly.
Why? Because the Perique is spicy and flowery in itself.
And sweet.
You see, Russ, you see what you're doing to me? You're teaching me stuff. I'm saying stuff that is actually relevant to this show. Look at that. That's amazing. I'm telling you, I'm learning so much. Okay, so we talked about obviously the top tier, the dark Kentuckys, the Perique, and the Latakia. Now we're going down to Smyrna. What about this? And I can't pronounce it. Yeniji.
Yeniji.
I pronounced it right. Okay. Where is it from?
It's from a specific region. There's a group of them like Drama and Basma and Yeniji that are all in the same family, but they're grown just in some cases a few miles apart. But that strain grown in that area takes on different characteristics. And Yeniji has often been referred to as the queen of tobaccos because it has such a unique flavor profile.
Okay, so it's like a Perique mystique type thing.
Yeah, it's got an herbal floral character, and when it's added to Latakia, it creates this incense-like aroma. So, and then some people talk about another Oriental that's called Xanthi.
Okay.
That's spelled with an X at the beginning.
Right.
And they often talk about it as if it's a different tobacco, but it's really not. It's just the top grade of Yeniji.
Okay. Okay.
So, but those aren't so much assertive in flavor, but they have unique flavors. And all of those ones that I mentioned will have a synergy with Latakia to create a very bright aroma.
Okay.
So when used with Latakia, it is a condimental tobacco because of the synergy between the two.
Okay.
But if you were to mix it with Virginia and not add any Latakia, you'd notice it, but it wouldn't be as noticeable.
That's
Because
like a contradiction.
Yeah, it's not its own flavor that really is that assertive. It's the combination when mixed with Latakia that becomes assertive.
See, and that brings me to the question that I wanted to ask you later, but I'm going to ask you now. Here I wrote, can I know what types there are, or the mix and the synergy of tobaccos that's changed the flavors significantly? Is what I mean to say is that is there an overabundance of stuff we can do by mixing different condiments with different tobaccos? Is this an exhaustive list that we really can't really talk about unless we're, it's 3 o'clock in the morning and we've been together for 5 hours having a couple of beers, a couple of smokes? Is that the type of conversation it is? Or can you actually say, no, if you mix Smyrna with Yeniji, you get this. But if you know what I'm trying to say?
Well, there's something from Star Trek, the original series, and Spock. Yes, Spock wears an emblem called the IDIC, and the IDIC stands for infinite diversity and infinite combinations.
So that's what it is. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's really what you're dealing with here, because, well, it's like when there's a burger chain in the U.S. I don't know if there are any in Canada yet. Five Guys.
No. Five Guys?
Five Guys.
Yeah, yeah, we got that.
Oh, okay. All right. And they do a smash burger. And then they have this huge list of condiments that you can have on your burger. And what they did was they calculated the number of different combinations you could make. And they advertised that. You know, it's like hundreds of thousands of combinations
Seriously, okay.
that you could do. Well, it's even more pronounced when we're talking about tobacco, because in the case of the burger, if you ask for ketchup, they're going to put X amount of ketchup on your burger. And if you ask for pickles, they're going to put X number of pickle slices on your burger. So that's fixed. But in tobacco, we might use 5%, 10%, 30% of a tobacco, depending on what we're trying to accomplish. So not only do you have all the different combinations you can make, but the percentages. So it really is almost an infinite number of things that you can do. And that's not even getting into things like different casings, different top dressings. So, you know, if I had started this as it is right now, when I first started blending when I was 19 years old, you know, I still could not exhaust everything that I would want to try, because there are just so many options. And even though there are fewer options today than there were 40 years ago.
Now, are you encouraged by something like that or overwhelmed?
No. I get my inspiration from a lot of different sources. Most of the time, I get ideas for blends from the outside.
Meaning?
Somebody on our staff has an idea. Could you do a blend like this? Could you make it smell like this? Or I'll get emails from customers, emails from people who watch the Facebook Live I do on Thursdays. And they'll make suggestions to me. And our longtime customers will contact me and give me ideas. And then I'll try to execute them the best I can. Plus the ideas that I come up with as I go. So, I mean, if I were still in a position where I could just crank them out, you know, I could probably make a blend every week.
And is that attractive to you? Meaning that if you, let's say you had the perfect bank account and you could just sit down and make blends, would you be a happy man? Or would it be too much?
I would be happy if I were doing it for the sake of doing it. Just
for you, that is.
To see what I could come up with. But from a commercial viewpoint, it would make no sense. You overwhelm people. There's something called the paradox of choice.
Mm.
Now, to give you an example that you'll understand, because you shop online for products. So you go to our site and you're looking for a pipe from a certain company. And then you go to the brand page and they show you images on the brand page, and you look at one and you say, oh, I like that finish. So you click on that, and now you go to the product page. And all of a sudden, you're going down and you're scrolling, and there's like 28 different shape options. There's a greater chance that you're just going to leave that page and not buy anything than there would be if you opened up that page and there were 10 options.
I get you. I get you.
You get conflicted. You're like, I like this one. I like this one. I'm not going to buy 2 pipes.
Right.
And so you bail. You go someplace else. And that's so from a commercial viewpoint, cranking out blends like that, which I did for a while in the early days of Hearth and Home. But if I continued to do it, it would just overwhelm the customer, and I'm, we don't want to do that.
I mean, there's a company out there that has over 200 blends, man. And do you think commercially that's to their detriment?
I think it's to their detriment in terms of packaged tobaccos, anything in a tin. Because not only do you have to carry the inventory, but people are less likely to take a shot at a couple of ounces in a tin. But if they're doing it in bulk, then first off, bulk's cheaper.
Yeah.
And secondly, they can buy by the ounce, so they can try an ounce of this, an ounce of that.
Right.
Which, from my perspective, is not good.
Right.
I don't think you are giving a blend a fair shot unless
with an ounce.
Yeah, you got to have 4 ounces, in my opinion, for a couple of reasons. Most people don't have a new pipe to try it in.
I see what you're saying.
There's a ghost in that pipe.
Right.
Even if it's a very faint ghost, it has a ghost. And so by the time you get through the first couple of ounces, now you've probably killed that ghost. And that's when you can start really evaluating the blend for what it is.
Holy cow. So to be a taster, like I spoke to Pierre Jensen, and I said, hey, Pierre, why don't you, just laughingly, so why don't you put me on the tasters list type thing? He says, yeah, get in line of the thousands of people that are there. But there's always that one guy with that beard there. Like, how does he do it? What does he have, 1 million pipes, this guy? Because he's got to develop his taste. He's got to educate himself, man. Yeah,
well, first off, as far as tastes go and tasting, there's a diversity there too. You've got people who've smoked so much
that they burn out their taste buds.
Yeah, and they they're into big flavors mainly because they can't taste things anymore.
I see.
Yeah. So the guy who goes into the pub and always orders chicken wings, buffalo style. Maybe the reason that he's ordering those every time is because his taste is so deadened that he needs something that bold to be able to even taste it anymore. And then you go to the opposite end of the spectrum, and you've got people who can pick up little nuances. Like I was at a departmental meeting one time, and we were working with a company on a new cigar, and so they had samples of the cigar that they passed around. And it was a beautiful Cameroon cigar. And there's one gentleman on the cigar side um, at the time who had a very critical palate too. So we all lit this cigar up. Thank God for a fantastic ventilation system. But we all lit this cigar up and we're smoking it. And I got maybe about an inch and a half into the cigar, and all of a sudden something hit me. And I turned around and looked at him and I said, "Are you getting vanilla?" He said, "Yeah, it's like you tasted a vanilla bean." I said, "Yeah, I mean, it's not flavored, but it's the first time I got that strong an influence of vanilla in a cigar." And so I happen to have that kind of palate where I can
So
pick up the nuances.
you don't smoke every day then, Russ, or do you?
Um, I used to. The main reason I don't now is because I'm in a place where I can't smoke inside.
Right.
And you can bet your ass I'm not going out in 10 degrees below zero to have a pipe or a cigar.
Right, right.
It ain't gonna happen.
I know what
So
you're saying.
my sanctum sanctorum for having a smoke is my car.
I thought I was the only one, man.
No, no. It's the only place that I can go and be sure it's going to be okay.
Yeah, I know.
We moved into new offices, and there will be smoking allowed in a section of the offices, but they haven't installed the ventilation system yet.
Okay, okay. So Russ, going back to the condimental tobaccos.
Yeah.
So yeah, is that's exhaustive in itself.
It really is. And some of the things that you find by accident as you make different combinations can really expand that even further.
So
Sometimes,
go
sometimes,
ahead. I'm sorry.
sometimes the synergy delivers something unexpected.
So the know-it-all blender or the know-it-all taster, sommelier in tobacco, is a joke.
If anybody says that they can come up with a blend and know before they smoke it what they're going to get, they're lying.
Really, eh?
I'm sorry. I cannot believe that there's anybody out there who can predict with any kind of certainty what a blend is going to taste like until it's in the pipe. Because, I made my Firestorm with Virginia, Perique, and Dark Fired. I did not expect to taste cinnamon. But
Yeah,
there's a cinnamon note in there.
So when you do that, is that logged into your Rolodex, or will you forget certain blends after a couple of years that you got that flavor profile?
Oh, you never forget the ones that surprise you.
Okay.
When you have a revelation like that.
Yeah, I got you. And is that like in music? Is that like a wrong note that makes the tune?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Or maybe an unexpected chord substitution.
I like
Yep.
that, Russ. I like talking music. But anyways, and it's funny. I thought in half an hour that we were gonna nail some subjects. What we really did nail is that there is uh, no finite way of blending tobacco. It's infinite.
It truly is. When it comes to condiments, I have some guidelines in my mind. If I'm using Latakia, it's going to be 5 to 50%.
Yeah, but that depends what you're mixing it with.
Yeah, and when I use Perique, it's generally between 5 and 25% max. Although there are blenders who've done quite a bit heavier, but I don't find that there's much benefit in going beyond 25%. But that's my general guidelines. Um, Dark fired, I use the same range as Latakia, just bearing in mind that dark fired is not like Latakia in one regard, and that is it has a pretty heavy nicotine hit. So, using a lot, you basically have to warn the customer up front.
So, Russ, other than toppings, okay, because I know some toppings are house secrets, okay, and I understand that. In terms of blending tobacco, there's no secrets because go ahead, man, D- knock yourself out.
Um, Somebody asked me at a show one time how I avoid getting a big head because all these people are coming up and complimenting me on my tobaccos.
Which
And
I'm
I
gonna do
said,
again later. I have something to say, but anyways,
it's really simple. When I get done blending for the day, I've got a bunch of scraps of tobacco on my workbench, and I sweep them all up and I put them in a bag to throw them away. But somewhere in the world, someone would smoke that and think it's the best blend ever made.
and it's something.
So
Is something wrong with that?
there's nothing wrong with that. But that's how you stay humble with this stuff, no matter how successful you've become, because you know that at least to some degree, what you've done is an accident.
Ah, yes, I got you. I got you. And that's very forthcoming of you, man. Uh, that okay, and I understand that because my best compositions are accidents, man. They're accidents.
Well, that's because you're using accidentals.
That's so bad. That's so bad, man. That's so bad. Let's do a bit of nepotism here, Russ. Your Viprati. I just love the Viprati. Sometimes I'm like, should I smoke a Viprati tonight? Nah, well, I don't know. It's gonna be too full. I open it up, boom, I'm smoking it. So the thing is that I get that funky smell in the Viprati, and it's the blue cheese smell, and I just love it. But you don't taste blue cheese in your mouth. It's the tin note. And what is
Yes.
that? What is that?
That's a byproduct of the fermentation. That's where that comes from.
Well, do you know you're doing that when you're mixing the tobaccos and it's gonna ferment?
I have an idea when I put a blend together whether it's going to ferment much at all in the tin or not.
So does fermenting any tobacco give you that blue cheese smell, or is it fermenting certain tobaccos?
Um, you're going to get a bit of that with most tobaccos, but where you're going to get it most is a Virginia blend because Virginia has a high sugar content and that feeds the fermentation. So You definitely notice it more with a Virginia Perique blend or a straight Virginia blend. But you know, but knowing that you were going to smoke it, it's not blue cheese, it's gorgonzola.
And I'm listening to you attentively, like, yeah, what is it? What is it? Okay. Look, since I got you on the blower, I forgot what was I gonna say. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I used to be a heavy English smoker. That's all I would gravitate towards. Very incensey stuff, 965, my mixture, whatever. But now, and it's a channel. I forget his name. Our good friend Brad from Stuff and Things. He's a
Yeah.
Virginia guy. Virginia. I'm now I love Virginias, but I love them so much that when I go back to an English, the English is overwhelming. But there's so much depth in a simple Virginia sometimes that I won't get that depthness of flavor in an English because of the overwhelming floweriness. It's just poof.
Well, there's a fairly common progression for pipe smokers. When a new pipe smoker takes up a pipe, typically they're going to go for aromatics.
Right.
And then they're going to find that a variety of aromatics are going to leave a cloying taste in the mouth. And some of them get really hot. And so they look to make a change. And the most common thing for them to try is an English blend.
Obviously. How
And
simple is that?
they get more smoke than they do out of an aromatic. It burns slower. It's a cooler smoke. They're getting tons of flavor that they didn't get in the aromatics, and they go that way for a while. Then, as their technique becomes better, they start fighting with the English blends because they're learning to sip the tobacco, and now they're having a hard time keeping it lit. So they try a Virginia, but now they've got their technique down. They're not puffing hard anymore, and they try a Virginia, and oh my God, they love it because when you smoke it slow, the flavors bloom. And so aromatics to English to Virginias is actually a fairly common progression. I'd say maybe 10% of pipe smokers will go through that. And then there's some of us that just smoke burley all the time.
And it's funny. I thought I was special. But I guess I'm in the regular 10%, man.
And really, it's a very intelligent progression.
Well,
I don't know. I don't know if starting out with aromatics is necessarily intelligent.
Well, I don't know.
But it's common because you develop better technique as you go.
And you define your flavor profile a lot better.
Yeah. I mean, if a new pipe smoker started out with Virginias, they're going to swear off them.
Oh, I remember trying the Dunhill Navy Flake Virginia, and I said, first of all, it was my first flake. What the hay is this?
Yeah.
How do you smoke this? Anyways, I rubbed it out and I smoked it, but I puffed hard, man, and it was like, holy moly! I fried myself.
Yeah, and it tastes like a cigarette.
And it tasted like a cigarette. I remember that.
You get that ashy flavor.
And I hate cigarettes, man. I can't
And
stand
so,
them.
but But when you smoke it slow, you get the true flavor of the tobacco, and it's a revelation.
Yeah.
You really find all kinds of subtleties and nuances in a Virginia blend that you're not going to find anywhere else.
I know, man. It's a beautiful thing.
And there's a gentleman who had a blog site for quite a while, Neil Archerone. He was also one of the judges in the throwdown when Black House won back in 2011. And he wrote something, and I read it, and it really opened my eyes. When you're smoking a pipe or a cigar, what you're tasting is not the burning tobacco. It's the tobacco right behind the burning tobacco. The heat from the burning tobacco releases the volatile organic compounds in the tobacco, and that's what you taste. But if you smoke too hard or too fast,
You're gonna taste
then all
ash.
you taste is char.
Right. Right. Look at that. Huh? Well, Russ, I'm glad we had this conversation. We could go on, but I mean, 46 minutes, in this fast food world is way overdue in time. Russ, thanks so much for doing this, man. And you brought up so many other topics I'd like to get into, like um, herbs in tobacco. That's something else, like using other condiments such as balsamic vinegar, maybe a bit of mustard. Who knows? Hey, look, man, I tried a garlic beer, for God's sake, man.
Yep,
You know what I mean? If someone can
yep,
make a garlic beer, they're going to make a mustard tobacco. And if you do make a mustard tobacco, Russ, you heard it from me first time, okay?
yeah, and I'm going to pair it with corned beef.
I'm sure there's a corned beef tobacco in the world, man. I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it.
Well, I know that there's pastrami because they smoke that.
Oh, for God's sake, man. Anyways, Russ, thank you very much, man, and I'll see you soon.
Okay, take care, Dan.